Welcome to this week's edition of Scoreboard. I'm Kelsey Williams and I'm joined by Michael Deere and Mitchell Morgan. And guys, we're going to talk about UCA football. So now this is the second week in the row. The Bears have started off slow. What do you guys think seems to be the problem?
Well, this week is a little different from past weeks. First, I'd start off with, it started at the coin toss. Montana State won the coin toss and elected to receive. They obviously wanted to come out with the game plan, get the ball first, drive down the field, which they did. That was a 14-play, 79-yard drive that took almost 7 minutes in the first quarter. They're up 7-0 just like that. The defense didn't do their job holding Montana State in that first drive. So when people think, okay, they started off slow, most of the time it's the offense that you have the mindset, all right, well, they started off slow. Well, in this case, it was a defense that was put on the field first. They didn't get the stop. UCA got the ball back, and they only had a 5-play drive. Reed was 1 for 3 in that drive for 12 yards. They have to punt the ball away. Montana State gets the ball back, drives down the field, another long drive. The second drive was 10 plays, 63 yards. They took up another 4 minutes of clock, and they got 3 points. So UCA was down 10-0 after only having the ball for maybe 2 minutes. So that was tough. I mean, then your offense comes on the field, and you can't go with the game plan that you had to start the game. You're already down 10-0. You had Taylor Reed go out in the second quarter with a concussion, so then you have that to go along with it. So you went in with your starting quarterback. You're already down 16-0. You have to throw in Ryan Howard, who obviously Coach Campbell's comfortable with. So UCA had to throw the ball, and they did throw the ball a lot.
Yeah, definitely at the halftime, Montana State was leading 23-6, and definitely that's such a slow start. And Coach Campbell talked about that. When you play this team of this kind of caliber that has so much time to focus on what your offense is going to do, they have time just to throw off your game plan. They did that from the beginning, like you talked about. And Ryan Howard came in and did a super good job the second half, but we can't just have a second half team when we start playing conference play. We're going to have to play the whole game. So it just seems like they're not ready to play right off the bat, and they just need to stick with what their strong suits are, and that is throwing the ball. No matter if you win or lose the coin toss, just have a good couple of stops on defense, and then come out and throw the ball like you do in practice, like what we know you're good at. And just try to score. You look at the second half, it would seem like a whole different team came out and played, because we scored, 14 points unanswered in the third quarter. And it was remarkable how well they played in the second half, but you didn't see any of that in the first half. So, I don't know how long it's going to take, but this team's going to have to come together and play a full 48 minutes of football.
Well, we did come off extremely slow against UT Martin, and I feel like that is one thing that we definitely cannot do against Missouri State. Missouri State are coming off a 38-0 win against North Dakota. So what do you think it's going to take for UCA to win a game against Missouri State? I know that they beat them last year. So do you think that they're going to be able to do it again?
I think they can do it again. I'm looking at the stats from Missouri State. They averaged almost 32 points a game. That was similar to Montana State, so you're going to play an offense pretty similar. Montana State had a dual-threat quarterback. Yeah. And they mixed it in very well. Missouri State will do a little bit of the same. They like to run the ball a little bit more. They average almost 205 rushing yards a game. So this is going to be UCA's chance on defense to man up. Jonathan Woodard and other guys on the defensive line to get big. One of the surprising things, Missouri State has scored 62 points off of turnovers this year. They have allowed their opponents to score 0. That's awesome. That's something you want to see as a coach. They're not allowing anybody to score after they turn the ball over. They're not a big offensive team. They're not going to put up the eye-popping numbers that UCA might. They're not going to run 90 plays. They're only averaging around 400 yards per game. But like I said earlier, red zone defense for UCA has to be better. They're 88% on the year, 7 of 8 in the red zone. They've scored 6 touchdowns. So when they get there, they score.
Yeah, and the defense that this team, UCA, is going to see from Missouri State is a team that is really good. They held North Dakota to 166 yards and just 7 first downs in the whole game. Missouri State had 247 total yards in the second half, and they had 235 rushing yards. So obviously, they like to run the ball. They're a very balanced attack. So our rush defense is going to have to step up and play really well. I think Jonathan Woodward's going to have a big game. I hope he has a big game. You think UCA is going to win this game, and for some reason, I think Missouri State's going to come in here and they're gonna play with a chip on their shoulder. They just had a big win. Obviously, they want to beat UCA because they lost to us last year. So I think Missouri State's going to come in here and pull the upset. I don't think we have enough on defense to stop this team, and their defense is good enough to figure out what UCA is going to do all game long. Because UCA is having the problem to where, obviously, they can't. You can't throw the ball all game and expect to win the championship, and no matter what conference it is, you have to have a balanced attack. And this defense that Missouri State has is just going to come in, and they're going to know that we're going to throw the ball majority of the time. So they're going to be able to stop that. I think Missouri State is going to come in here and get the win.
There's a couple of things I'm going to be looking for. Missouri State's a lot like UCA in the sense that they like to start slow.
Yeah.
They've only scored 27 points in the first half of the entire season so far through their 3 games. They've scored 28 points in the third quarter this season and 40 points in the fourth quarter. So they're a team that likes to finish. And usually that means running the ball in the fourth quarter, time of possession, controlling the line of scrimmage. Kiera Harris, their dual threat QB, has over 150 yards rushing on the season, has 550 yards passing. He only has 1 interception, so he takes care of the ball. They run a 2-back rotation with Crowder and Johnson, and the one thing UCA might have a better time with this week on defense, they only have to focus on 1 wide receiver, Julian Burton. He has 11 receptions for 218 yards in the season, 3 touchdowns. No other player on their roster, the receiver position, has more than 4 receptions and 68 yards. So they have that one threat at wide receiver, so maybe UCA can key in on that and try and stop the run game. Defense is going to have to step up this week.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely a low-scoring game. Probably not a fun game to watch, and it might be close. The first half might be really close, but I think one team's going to pull away in the second half. For sure.
I think it's going to be a very interesting second half, especially if you both predict that the first half might be a little bit slow to start. It's going to be interesting to see who's really got the fire in the belly and who wants to come out and really show what they've got in the second half.
It might sound silly, but whatever team puts together a 4-quarter game is going to win this game. Yeah, you might be able to say that at every game, but neither of these teams like to play a 4-quarter game. Whoever does will win this game.
Well, thank you, Michael and Mitchell, for joining us. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back soon to talk volleyball with Sam and Chris.